please make me a fan.
What the fuck?
Mental vacation.
Makes me feel like a horrible individual.
You are.
Yeah.
Have anal sex with a person who, prior to the deed, has swallowed a piece of raw bacon.
What?
like fucking a chicken.
NPR. Well, make me a fan of your crime.
They still had places to go. You know, there were still bars.
Make me a fan, Comcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Make Me a Fan podcast. I am Sean McGregor. I am not joined today by my beautiful wife or my brother TJ, but I do have two very special guests all the way from Bloomington, Indiana, I believe it is. Jbats and Mykhal from the What If podcast. What's up, guys?
How we doing?
Hey, not too bad, man.
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Not too bad. It's just been a long week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. You guys getting any of that hurricane weather down in Indiana?
No,
It's a little chillier than it usually is this time of year, at least, for the last decade or so, but it's it's not bad now. A little windier than normal, to see a little...
Yeah. The last few, outside of the hurricane thing, the last few years, winter-wise, have been really, really mild for us.
Yeah.
So...
I think we saw maybe 2 days of snowfall last winter.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's... but it's pretty nice up here. We can't really complain too much.
Yeah, I spent a year in Kokomo, Indiana, and I think maybe we got like a half inch of snow that entire year.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. But, so you guys, we did a last crossover episode, which was what if you could bring back your favorite musician, but you had to kill someone. And we had a great time doing that. So we brought you guys back to do an official Make Me a Fan podcast. And you guys are going to make me a fan of churches paying taxes, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, let me ask you guys: were you brought up religious, or are you guys religious at all?
Well, this is Jbats. I wasn't. We were brought up religious, like basically every sect of what flavor of Christianity do you want to try this week was what our mom did.
Okay.
And because she had a lot of problems that she never really solved, but one of them was trying to find God apparently. And she never really solved that one either.
But she wanted to give us the opportunity.
Yeah, because she was brought up in like a fire and brimstone kind of time where it's like, preachers are like, you're going to hell if you don't believe, so you better believe kind of thing. And so I just sort of, myself, I'm not a religious person. I consider myself an atheist. So.
Yeah. Mykhal, I don't really consider myself religious. However, I consider myself an agnostic, but I do consider myself spiritual. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I consider myself agnostic also.
Yeah, I know this is going to sound very new agey and probably turn some people off, but it's who I am, so I can't really apologize for it.
Yeah, welcome.
I do, yeah, exactly. I kind of have this opinion, Sean. I feel like whenever I pass away, there's going to be a little bit of my energy that goes back into the cosmos, right?
Yeah.
So as long, and I know it's not going to be the same, as it is when I'm alive, and there won't be the same consciousness and everything. But as long as I know that I still get to be in some way or shape or form a part of the universe, then that, if this is all that there is, that type of thing, then it gives me a pretty good impetus to want to be a good person while I'm here and while I am conscious and alive,
Yeah, I think that...
it's that whole... Have you ever heard of that whole campaign, the whole, good without God?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, it's kind of like what some atheists advertise, because, there's always that stigma that goes along with it.
Yeah.
Like religious people automatically assume that if you're an atheist, you hate religion, or you have no moral compass because you can't. God isn't telling you what to do to be a good person.
Yeah,
you can just do that without having to pray to something.
Yeah. So the short of it with me, the long and short of it, not to drag it on, I apologize, is just I do consider myself. I used to consider myself atheist.
Mm-hmm.
For a while there. I've had some things happen in my life, so I consider myself agnostic now, like you said, and I do tend to, like I said, I do tend to believe that that your energy kind of does continue on. So there's something about that that's kind of soothing to me, you know?
Yeah, I think agnostic is honestly the way to go. I think, like, no offense to atheists, but I think atheists and, true believers they're basically bipolar, but cut out of the same cloth. Like, I don't think anyone's smart enough to actually know what the real answer is. I don't think any religion actually has it. I don't think atheist has it. I don't think we're smart enough to know if there is a God or if there isn't, or what actually anything really is.
Well, the thing with atheists is people think that atheists just don't want, they think there isn't, they think they know there is no God.
Mm-hmm.
It's the militant atheists, like the Richard Dawkins followers, those guys that do that.
Okay.
Like the God delusion guy,
So you're saying like there's a spectrum?
It's kind of like the political spectrum. There's a far left and a far right. There's a far non-believer and a far firm believer.
Mm-hmm.
Where I kind of fall on that spectrum, I guess, would be I would love the evidence, but there has not been convincing enough evidence that can be reproduced well enough to make me believe.
Yeah, and that's fair enough.
And I'm sort of a see it to believe it kind of guy. That's why I kind of have a hard time believing in ghosts sometimes, even though I have had paranormal experiences.
Yeah, well, I'm saying even though you have a keen interest in it.
Oh, yeah.
Like you have an interest in ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Bigfoot, but I don't think he's real.
Something, Sean.
Huh?
This isn't me busting out on my brother. It is a little bit.
Go for it.
Like, I love Josh to death, but do not let this guy see something creepy after a while, because it will be a while before he decides to wind down, because some of the stuff you see just stays with you, right, dude?
That's why I'm kind of terrified to see it. Because I remember seeing it in when Tim Curry was the monster back in the 90s, and that was kind of weird, because I watched him in Legend, and it was like, that's fucking awesome with the big devil horns and all that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But then him as the clown, I have a little bit of colorophobia too, where I just do not like clowns. So like during that back last year, whenever they had all those clowns showing up everywhere and at the edge of the forest and shit, it's like, this has to be viral marketing for that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
If you don't mind me asking you, flip side, kind of I know you said you're agnostic, but kind of what's your background?
I was raised religious. I was Lutheran. I went to a private school pretty much up until high school.
Oh, okay.
And
that's kind of crazy that you should say that, because I considered myself religious up until about my sophomore year. Like, I considered myself, kind of like what Josh said. Like, I'm not saying this in a mean way, but kind of just religious in a very sort of broad Christian sense.
Yeah.
And I was very sort of devout.
Non-denominational.
Yeah, non-denominational.
Okay, yeah.
And just a lot of it's kind of interesting how a lot of like hardships expose questions and make you think, and it's sort of like some people are like, oh well, whenever things are going wrong, I find comfort, and it was one of those things where it's like we won't fully,
you had time to have comfort.
Yeah. I won't fully go into it. That might be more of a private conversation with us, but yes, Josh, it was a pretty tumultuous time in our teenage years, right?
Yeah.
Family wise.
That's when the whole, basically when our family had a lot of changes going on.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, not all of them were positive. So
yeah.
So that kind of gave me a chance to to discover what I was, and I went through a period of being for a while there I was anti-religious, and then I kind of talked to Josh, and I realized there was a difference between being anti-religious and being like atheist. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I'm not trying to run on and on.
No, it's no problem. So I went to a public high school after going to a small little Christian school my entire life, knowing, the same people. And then I went to a big high school, and, that first day of gym class, like these two giant, like 18-year-old black dudes are fighting in the fucking hallway. And I'm like, what the hell did I just get myself into? Like, I don't know anyone. And for a while, like, I tried exploring other religions. Like, I remember I stole the Satanic Bible from the mall. I read that. I was like, oh, I'll try some spells. None of it worked. And I was like, fucking, if I'm going to believe in something, I'm not going to believe in Satanism, because then I'm pretty much going to believe the losing side of the two fights. It's like, okay, well, devil's already in hell. He already lost. Like, the best I can do is go down there too.
Now, you mean devil worship, not Satanism, right?
Oh, no, I got the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey.
Yeah.
Satanism really isn't, if you think about it, it's not really per se a religion. It's more of a way of life.
Yeah.
It's more
I just wanted to make sure, because there are people that will cherry pick the shit out of that.
Oh yeah. Oh, and part of the reason why I kind of perked up when you said that was because I went through, before I was actually considered myself agnostic like I am now. I went through a period where, I still kind of do consider myself, even though I consider myself agnostic, like I do engender and enjoy a lot of different philosophies. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of important to have respect for a lot of different philosophies, Yeah. And one of those, there are parts of Satanism that I kind of agree with. I even have a tattoo that I've been given hell for having. Like, maybe one of those times I'll go ahead and I'll send you a pic of it. But yeah, no, it's kind of interesting that you'd said that. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Like, most of the religions are, the main religions are pretty much the fucking same. Like, if you look at like Islam and Christianity, like a lot of the stories are identical.
Well, yeah, they have the same the same God. It's just they call them different names.
Exactly.
Same type of origin stories too.
Yeah, a big flood. A savior dying, prophets, shit like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
definitely.
So you guys think this church taxation should cover all religions, right? Not because usually when people are like, we need to tax the church, they're just like talking about Catholics or like the mega churches.
Well, it should be like if you're trying to start a business, because that's what churches essentially are nowadays. Yeah. Because look at Joel Osteen, what he's done with the hurricane thing, and like you have heard of that, right? What happened with him?
Yeah, he won't let people into his mega church.
He wasn't, and then after social media destroyed him, basically,
like exposed him,
called him out on it. It's like, no, our doors have been open the whole time, right? So, but yeah, so and then also after that happened, that he was passing out a collection plate,
Oh, of course.
When the Harvey were there, because he's got to make his money somehow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of tasteless to hand out.
Well, that's why I say it's like a business.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Like you're handling this like like a businessman would. You're saying, hey, we essentially, you're going to stay here. We're going to collect a fee from you one way or another.
Well, outside of what we're going to be discussing, like to answer part of what you just asked a second ago, with me, I do think that we should tax them. However, I don't think I've even told Josh this yet. Like, I do tend to think that if we tax them, though, it should be the same type of way that we do with people.
Well, that's what I was saying. You're going to start a business.
Yeah, like I'm saying, same thing like you do with people. Mm-hmm. Like the people that can afford to give more, tax them at a larger rate. Mm-hmm. Don't tax these small churches that have a hard time. I mean, like, do tax them, but don't tax them heavily. You know what I'm saying? Like, these huge mega churches, they can afford to give a decent percent to, and the argument that they give sometimes is oh, well, we help socially. Okay, it's also your social responsibility to give back in, like
because a lot of the churches that, like, especially those mega churches and just bigger, like the Catholic Church and things like that, they say they're giving back to the community, and they say they're helping those who are less fortunate, and they are really just lining their coffers and pulling for lack of a better term, pulling a trump on the people that they're supposed to be helping.
Yeah,
they're just not fulfilling the promises they were made.
Well, and I think that tends to be more of a sort of fair attitude too, because it's like, if you have more, I'm not saying that you shouldn't enjoy having what you have, but you should not feel as bad about taking and wanting. If your goal is to truly help people, then take a part of what you have and give it for the betterment of society. Them paying the taxes would actually be a great example of showing how Christian they actually are.
But wouldn't it like kind of mostly harm even though they're getting a tax less, wouldn't it harm the smaller churches? Kind of like now, our tax code, if you can hire, an accountant and lawyers and shit, you can find every single loophole imaginable. So wouldn't the mega churches just, find loopholes through everything and actually get more money back? Meanwhile, all these tiny little, 30 people congregations they can't afford to pay their taxes anymore, and they're all getting shut down. And then
you see, that's why we need tax reform. No, that's again, though, that's a reason that it could be helped, or a way that it could be helped is to, if they were to start taxing churches, they would have to do things to shift the tax code around to make it so that not just rich jerk-offs can get off paying taxes by itemizing literally every single paperclip they have in their office or something like that. So give it a, again, I'm no tax expert by any means at all, but it just seems like it should be fairer than it is nowadays.
So then would we have to start taxing all nonprofits then?
Well, it depends on, again, the thing about doing this where it would be super difficult is because you would have to do everything on a case-by-case basis. you would have to investigate like how they're helping, how much they're giving when they help, and if they're making a difference. Yeah, so, I mean, but again, like it's just like starting a business. They'll ask you what you want to do, what your business is about, what kind of, how much you expect to make, how much, what your losses you think are going to be, that kind of thing, and sort of meet it out and just kind of sort through it to find out which ones need the higher taxes versus lower taxes. And like if you're some podunk country church in the middle of nowhere and all you do is have, pitch-ins and get-togethers every, other day than Sunday, like one of those like the Pentecostals where they have church on Monday and Wednesday and Sunday.
Yeah, the ones mommy strikers too.
Yeah, all those blue jean skirts, Jesus.
And all the horribly out of tune Amazing Grace.
Yeah. But no, like if you're like some little podunk type church, you probably shouldn't, pay as high a tax as say like, Pat Robertson.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started.
But that's what I'm saying, because like if you're able to have a giant facility, like a fucking they bought a former NBA stadium for Osteen's church.
Yeah, I saw some pictures while Googling it.
It's huge.
Lakewood, right? Lakewood.
Yeah, it's huge, and it's like they can fit like 15,000 people or something like that.
Yeah, or a little bit more. Yeah,
something like that. They can seat so many people, and it's like that church right there. They could deal with paying taxes.
Yeah.
But if you got some pastor who inherited his church from his congregation from years and years and years and years, and things like an old limestone building that's falling apart or something, they probably could deal with not being taxed as highly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it would hurt churches if again, it's a case by case basis. So it's a very difficult thing to be enforced.
Well, yeah. It's one of those things though. Like I would look at it this way, that like Josh saying, being a case by case. The thing is well, even with it being a case by case, right? There's still there's still a bit of social responsibility, right? Yeah. And I, even though I think that some people would try to worm their way around it, even though it's a very sort of difficult. I guess what I'm trying to say is, even though it's a very sort of difficult thing, it would be a difficult thing to sort of like implement. It's one of those things that, even though it might be difficult at the beginning, once it gets rolling, it could be very beneficial, because like people. Not all people, but I think a good portion of just people in general would more or less be like, well, it's not fair for these smaller things to be floundering and for these other people to get loopholes. So eventually there would be some sort of change. There would be like some sort of referendum. I mean, it might not happen right away, though. That type of thing. Yeah,
because you don't want the government just kind of picking and choosing which churches to be able to tax. Like, it's got to be, the more, in my opinion, the more power you give the government, the more corrupt they're going to get with it. So if they're able to say, okay, we're going to pick and choose, we're going to investigate. Next thing you know, they're getting, money from this church to say, hey, maybe we don't need to be taxed so much.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I think that okay. I'm again, with the whole being an atheist thing, I do believe in the whole having a separation of church and state. But again, if the church is going to operate as if they were a state, you know what I mean? If they're their own little community kind of thing, then they have to give back. And if they're not giving back in one way, they should be able to give back another.
Well, yeah, that, and the thing is another sort of thing that I'd read and I tend to agree with is that, like, I do respect the whole, like Josh was saying, the whole separation of church and state. I've always kind of felt strongly about that. However, and I don't necessarily mean this for the smaller churches, although some of them do. I think it's kind of gotten to the point now where the line, even though people don't want it that way, the line's been blurred because there are churches that are involved in politics.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's definitely not separation of church and state. I mean, that's them putting their money towards an interest. So it's like sort of like, and I mean this towards both sides. I mean this towards the sides of people that want to have this implemented, and also towards the people that would have it implemented on. It's like you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
You can't not want to be taxed and then also get the benefit of throwing your money behind someone who will protect your interests, and then vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I went to the private school, and I think it was in maybe sixth grade. I think it was during the Bush Senior and George Clinton, or not Bill Clinton. Yeah, fucking
Yeah.
George Clinton.
George
Yeah, the Bill Clinton election.
P-Funk, right?
Yeah. But yeah, it was during that election, and I was going to a Christian school, and my parents were Democrat, but the school was telling us all how we should tell our parents that George Bush is really good because he's going to, get rid of abortion and shit like that. So obviously that's a private school, a church school, a small one too, trying to affect politics. And yeah, the whole reason why churches aren't taxed is to keep them, obviously separate. But part of that agreement is they don't get involved in politics, but yet obviously they are. Even the fucking tiny ones where
steadily blurred. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so like with this suggestion, it's not like for me, I'm saying like I don't want it to be like a totalitarian thing. It's not like I want anybody to go into any of these places like at gunpoint and be like,
troops just rush in and be like to the sheriff of Nottingham, where's your payment?
Yeah.
Right.
But it's one of those things where it's sort of like it's got to be tit for tat. If you want to be able to sway something, then you have to be able to give up in another place.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not arguing with you guys on any of this. I'm just trying to think. But if we start taxing churches, we find a fair way to do it, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden there's no more saying, hey, you guys can't get into politics. Now these mega churches, they might be paying taxes, but now they can also donate to presidential candidates, Senate, congressmen. They can get people in their pockets that'll, allow them to.
But they're kind of already there.
Yeah, but now they can, just go out and do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No more, man in the shadows.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I mean, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. It's one of those very, like, even whenever we picked this subject, we were like, well, it's one of those things that's worth approaching and fun to talk over.
Oh, yeah,
but it's very sort of hard to implement,
Yeah, but the what the estimated amount would be, the government, that would be saved in taxing other people and all that stuff would be like if they were to tax churches, right?
I think I saw something like 18 billion.
$71 billion.
Yeah, it's
here to if churches paid taxes at a regular rate, it would just be like that. That's enough. Like the equation for that would be like if you were to use that money to buy every homeless person in the world a home, or every homeless person in the United States a home, we would not have homeless people.
Yeah.
Which, like, the real estate system is broken anyways.
How much is our national debt right now? I know it's trillions.
Yeah.
Like billions of trillions, but.
And we're still missing $2 trillion from somewhere during the Bush era.
And I think we just borrowed another X amount of $1 billion for this hurricane relief.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, might as well just keep borrowing. I mean, we don't have fucking money. We owe. We bomb fucking Japan, and then we build it back up. We kick Germany's ass, and then we build that back up. We give them all this money, and suddenly, even though we won the fight, now we owe these fucking countries money.
Yeah.
And again, that would $71 billion would put a dent in that kind of deficit as well.
Yeah, for sure.
A little dent because it's trillions, of course, but over time it would take care of it.
Yeah, it's
that's kind of like what you're saying. That's kind of a mistake that I think America's made over time, anyways. Too, is that we have this really bad habit of going into a place, helping defend whatever in a certain conflict, and then once we've helped, after a while, we try pressing our point of view and our way on the people.
Americanizing them?
Yeah, we try Americanizing them whenever that's not always the answer, and we get pushed out. And when we started out being, for all intents and purposes, the savior in the situation, we end up being disliked.
Well, I mean, that's what comes with being a superpower, though, because when you're the defender of the world, you get to start pushing your weight around, basically.
It didn't work out really well with Al-Qaeda, did it?
No.
Well, that was the big variable they didn't account for,
Yeah. A pretty big variable.
There are other countries in the world that do tax their churches, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Germany, Italy, Spain, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, and Switzerland, and Austria, and Iceland.
Nice.
They're they all have different rules about how they do it, and even like secular organizations like Buddhists, or secular. Not non-secular ones that don't have a central like God, like a Trinity kind of thing.
Okay.
But they consider they are considered a religion because of their spirituality and things like that. They have if they're going to open a thing to offer a religious service to people, that is a taxable service. It's not like groceries where you can't tax milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the people that are donating like the collection money? Like those people already got taxed. So
they're already paying their own taxes from their thing. So that would sort of in turn eliminate the collection plate if you think about it, because if they have to collect money to do whatever it is with the church, then people would start saying, well, aren't you guys paying taxes so you can get government benefits from these taxes? Since you are paying taxes, you're eligible for these. They're already eligible for a ton of government benefits because they're considered a nonprofit organization. Yeah. But if you're paying, you get what you pay for. If you're paying for some service, like the government to not, take over your organization or whatever, then you are eligible for better benefit type things.
Yeah.
In certain cases, it just depends.
Yeah.
So,
how do you guys feel about like taxation in general? Like, there's a lot of people that say, like taxation is unconstitutional. It violates, First Amendment, Fifth Amendment, 14th, whatever.
Well, I see that as long as you're not like wringing the neck of the people that you're trying to protect and serve, then taxes are okay because it does help with, making sure that we're well defended, making sure that we have a good infrastructure, making sure, that we have roads and stuff to drive on and stuff and like that. Yeah. But, once you get to a point where your tax code is tilted unfairly to where you destroy, the middle ground.
Yeah.
Where they're just extremes on each side of the tax code. It's like, look, this person makes over $500,000 a year, but they only pay 4% of their income in taxes. Well, this person makes less than $30,000 a year, and they're paying 15 to 20% in taxes.
Yeah.
That is not fair. Like, by all rights, it means it is not fair.
Yeah, for sure.
So the way that the taxes are fine as long as you implement them fairly. That's my take.
Well, and I'm going to kind of riff off of that a little bit, Josh. Mm-hmm. I think I tend to have my attitude about taxation is that I've had people tell me, well, you're just not fond of someone being wealthy. And that's not the case. Used to, now I'm not going to lie, when I was younger, because of growing up, not always, having a lot of money, like there was a long time where I didn't like wealth or wealthy people, right? Mm-hmm. But when you grow up, you tend to move past those things and get a fuller understanding of life, right? So I'm older now, and I'm happy when people are doing well enough because they've done well enough to have their money. I think if you're lucky enough to have that money, I'm not like you should be able to enjoy a good amount of that money by all means. I mean, you've earned it, right? Yeah. But in the same breath, I think the people with the larger amount of money do have more burden to they have to carry more of the burden than the people that don't have as much. And you know what I'm saying? Like it's not me just saying that socially. It's just sort of like, it's like you can't expect someone who barely has two pennies to rub together to give all of what they have. They can give any portion of what they have, but someone who has many, 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 many pennies, like more than you can imagine.
Yeah, there was some rule of thumb that said, like, if you're going to donate to the church, you should give 10% of your income. It's like, why?
Yeah, that's basically what you give the government.
Yeah, well, sometimes 15%. It just depends on what your tax status is or your tax bracket, what tax bracket you're in or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I remember times when we were growing up where we had to go to the soup kitchen, there was no way we were going to be able to pay taxes.
That's what nearly $30,000 a year, and that's in the 80s, which was decent money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, if you have to file a tax return and, they ask you how much you make per year, there should be a spectrum of what they charge you instead of just having, like I said, two sort of almost two different sides. It's like, once you hit this number, your tax money, like the amount you pay goes up. You hit so many $100,000 a year, and then it just drops sharply.
Yeah,
and that's stupid. That's weird. That's not letting people live what do we used to call it, the American dream?
Yeah,
that thing.
Well, that's kind of slippery because I've known people that okay, they got 10 hours overtime in. They know exactly how much their check's going to be. If they work one more hour of overtime, they lose all 10 hours because they jump into that new tax bracket.
Yeah.
So it kind of discourages people from working more then.
Like we recently got a raise. Yeah. And the way the university pays people is like it gives you a raise, but it also they have to increase the tax things. Mm-hmm. So essentially, instead of making like 20 cents more on the hour, which would equate to like $60 more on our paycheck, we make like $14 more in our paycheck because the rest of that goes to taxes,
or to our insurance, or they'll raise the insurance.
They haven't done that yet, but
not yet.
No, my rates just went up for 2018.
Yeah. Well, it's that's good. When you said that, that's kind of what got me thinking was the last few years. I think it was last year they gave a 5% increase, and they like out where we work at IU, and it was one of those things where, man, it was great. I mean, in theory, it was great to have that raise and have the money.
Yeah,
but by the time you factored the insurance in, it raising, you essentially, you still had money, but you had less of what you actually did.
Yeah, you're still barely breaking even.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know what you're saying about the slippery slope. Like, I just, I'm one of the, I kind of agree with Josh though. Like, I just don't think it should be that steep of a drop. And it's one of those things for me where it's like, I wouldn't want this whole thing that we're discussing to punish anyone. I mean, I don't think it's to punish anyone, but I think you're right though. Like, there's going to be a lot of these little slippery slopes, that you're going to encounter,
Yeah, I think that's one reason why we don't have we have a lot of companies from the U.S. moving their main headquarters out of the country because we have such a high corporate tax rate, like 33%, 50%, and other countries are only paying like 4 or 5%. So I don't know. It's weird. Like, if you tax everyone at, say, 10%, a guy that makes $100 a week, he's paying $10 a week in taxes. That doesn't seem all that much. You got a guy that's, making $100 million a week, and he's paying $10 million then a week. So that's, I think, like, just a set amount that way. Because if you start making more money, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got a raise. Shit, I'm up in a new tax bracket. I'm making less than before. It makes people not want to work as hard and not work as much. And then you discourage the Steve Jobs and the fucking Bill Gates, these people that, could make those billions of dollars, but they're also bringing all this shit that people really want and really need.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, I actually think what you suggested was pretty good because, like, that might be another sort of way to rectify or solve that situation would be maybe have it be like a flat all the way
flat
across,
tax.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just as long as those institutions that want to have the right to do other things are getting, let's just say for the sake of agreeing, like, fairly taxed,
Mm-hmm.
then that sort of means that everyone gets to contribute to the betterment of, like, social programs. Now, I realize with saying that, though, that, like, it's one of those things where even this pokes into the other parts of what we deal with in America anyways. Like, there's a lot of sort of social programs that are broken.
Mm-hmm.
There's, like, outside of the tax situation kind of being broken, there's this would be one sort of suggestion and reform on a line full of tons and tons and tons of reform. Because right now it's just, up and down every little way you go for every type of thing,
If it can't be implemented that churches get taxed because of their being a religion, being a religious organization and not, falling under the whole, like, being a service that you need, otherwise the government would have to fulfill, then wouldn't a sort of a middle ground, I guess you could call it, would be like having a church pay a tax if they plan on getting involved in politics.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
What about
supporting the Republican candidate for whatever your state or city or whatever municipality you're in?
Yeah.
It's, okay, well, if you're going to support this guy's campaign this year,
but then you got to trust him not to do that. I don't trust the government. I'm not going to trust churches.
That's what I'm saying. It would be it would be just so damn hard to implement because it's been the same way for 200 years.
What about this? The people, how when you get your 401k taken out of your checks, it's taken out before taxes, along with your what's it called? Your the shit you throw in for your medical bills.
Like, your
FICA?
No, your insurance.
So, like, your insurance, Social Security, like
what?
You can spend it on, like, medicine or Band-Aids, whatever.
Like your HSA.
Yeah, HSA. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. All that shit's taken out before taxes. So how about if we tax churches, anything we give to the church is not taxed.
Okay.
Like, yeah, if we have to have a form that we keep track of when we go drop money in the collection plate.
Or you could do a direct deposit like you do your 401k or your HSA, where, every week I'm going to donate $20 out of my check to, my Unitarian Life Church.
Yeah, and they have an account set up to receive that kind of money, and it reports who gives that. Yeah.
Yep. And that way I don't pay taxes on it. It gives me a little bit more in my pocket come tax time, because everyone's happy when they get tax money back, but that's basically like you gave a loan to someone with no interest.
Yeah, and then on the con though is people are going to well, that'll let people know how much churches are making, which is sort of their secret to keep if they're not paying taxes on a regular basis.
But if they are paying taxes, then everyone's going to know what they're making.
Yeah,
true.
So it is a very
tumultuous.
It's a very weird topic.
Yeah. The one main anti-taxation point that I saw was if you start taxing churches, that gives the government permission to basically tell religions how to operate. And that's the whole separation of church and state, and now the government is controlling religion. Instead of religion controlling government, which sometimes it does.
Yeah, I think that's in the past. That's kind of what's rubbed me wrong. Is like whenever Bush Jr., whenever W was in office, he had that whole like faith-based initiatives stuff, and I was like, no, this is supposed to be separate. Like I felt even more strongly about the whole separation of church and state at that point in time. And I was like, wait, no, hold on. How can you be putting money into something that's supposed to be separate from you?
Yeah.
But
I think every president has done that. I know Obama did too.
Yeah.
I don't know about Trump. I don't really pay attention to him at all. I gave up on politics a while ago.
Yeah. We've kind of hit the same wall. I'm like, there's a funny little meme online that I've seen, and I thought you might find it kind of funny. It's this little thing that says, Republicans are red and Democrats are blue, and neither of them give a fuck about you.
Yeah, it's like it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode where it's like, do I vote for the Republican that's going to blast me in the ass or the Democrat that's going to blast me in the ass?
Yeah, exactly.
It just kind of came to I just ever since this hurricane shit's hit, like people are like, oh, he's down there helping out, he's helping people directly. He's not helping people directly. He's standing there. People are telling him what the government's doing to help them, and then he's taking it as his own stories. And
didn't he? I thought he donated some of his own money. I thought I saw that as a headline.
He was, and now he's not ish.
Oh,
he's floundering on it. It's weird.
He's got to see how much taxes, what kind of tax break he can get off of it first.
Of course. Well, yeah, it's a charitable organization. Yeah.
He has a really bad habit, but we've noticed this isn't just trying to blast him or not. But I'm just gonna say this real quick. You told me about this. Like he has this really bad habit of like everything that happens, like whether it's something bad that happens, something good that happens, he always has to tie it back in around to him.
Oh yeah, it's because he's
a narcissist. Thing that's happening, yeah.
Well, it just kind of came to a head with me whenever people were like, "Well, where was Obama whenever Katrina hit?" It's like he wasn't even president, so he was probably, being a senator in Illinois still, I suppose.
Oh yeah, just goes to show. Thanks, Obama. You didn't even become president yet. Come on.
Yeah. You had to wait 3 years. Jeez,
yeah,
dude.
lazy bastard.
Have you seen that video that he made before he left office where he was poking fun at himself for that?
No.
BuzzFeed.
Oh, it's BuzzFeed?
Yeah.
You've got to check it out sometime. It's hilarious. Like, by the end of the video, there's something he's trying to do in a mirror, and he can't do it, and he looks at it and he goes, thanks a lot, Obama.
But, I mean, he took it in stride, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Politics and religion getting in bed together is a very... It's a bad thing. It always ends up bad. It always... like whenever... Like, even back during, like, the Roman times when Alexander made the Holy Roman Church or whatever it was, that was just like, well, you just gave pastors, carte blanche to do whatever they want at the defense of the government, with the defense of the government, behind them.
Kind of gave them powers to be dictators, really.
Basically, they were like little tiny kings. Yeah. Yeah. So it just, in this day and age, you can't. If you do that, people will you give them an inch and they will take 10,000 miles. So
yeah, that just made me think. How do you tax Catholic churches then? Because the Vatican is basically like its own country.
Yeah.
Like, how do you tax another country?
Ask Italy. But I mean, I guess Italy taxes the church.
Do they?
That's on the list of countries that tax churches.
Wow.
So I mean, I don't know. That's I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because I mean, the Vatican is basically its own fucking country. It's huge.
Oh, and it's a 12 mile wide country. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like got diamonds for floors and shit.
Yeah. Well, while you're looking that up, I was going to tell you, Sean, earlier, like whenever we were talking, and you'd said that that you weren't want to argue with us. Like, I was going to tell you, no, we weren't taking it that way, because it was one of those things where like I love an exchange of opinions.
Yeah, for sure.
I love banter, and I think that's one of the things we kind of enjoy with you guys is that we always have fun. We always kind of have fun, bantering back and forth. So, I mean, you're not going to really catch me and Josh getting heated about much. Our temperaments don't really lend us towards that,
Yeah. I just said that just, for people listening, and Carrie accuses me of it all the time. She thinks I'm being argumentative when really I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate. I'm totally the devil's advocate.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally agree with that, too.
Because that shows that you're thinking about both sides of the issue.
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone should do that because, honestly, there's three sides to every story. There's his side, her side, and the right side.
And the truth, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So I'm not seeing anything that says that they will, but apparently from 2015 they were talking about they were thinking about taxing the Catholic Church in Italy back then, and then they struck a deal on financial transparency. So I guess Italy knows how much the church makes or something, but then they still don't have to pay taxes to them. I don't understand it. Again, it's different in every country, of course. So
yeah,
it's.
Yeah, I kind of think like what you said earlier does tend to make sense. Like it's one of those things where, oh my God, it's not really a sort of one size fits all type thing.
Yeah,
it really would have to be it really would have to be a case by case thing. Yeah, because.
But then that also gets even more slippery because then you have the government deciding like, okay, we're going to tax mega church this, little church that. Then we have this woman's shelter that we have to tax now because we have to tax all nonprofits because they are bringing in money. And how do we tax the Clinton Foundation? And how do we tax, XYZ over here? And it's the government deciding each one of those things. And that's really slippery.
And that gives them a lot of power. And it also would make it so they have to pay more people to do that. Mm-hmm. They'd have to have accountants or caseworkers, or we're going to call them, just to do those individualized things.
Oh yeah.
So here, Johnson, you have this church and this. It'd be like, I think that there would probably end up being a shortage of tax auditors, I guess.
Oh yeah, for sure. The IRS would fucking
because there's already if you think about the justice system, public defenders. Think about how many cases they deal with a day. That's like tens of thousands more than a private lawyer would.
Yeah.
So if you think about a private accountant taking whatever he wants to do versus being assigned the work and being swamped as an accountant.
Yeah, for sure.
As an auditor. So that would there'd probably be a rise in the suicide rate of tax auditors.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be that bad, honestly.
Was it the whole what do you call 10,000 lawyers chained together at the bottom of the ocean?
A good start.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those countries, you listed it that actually taxes churches. I don't remember which one it was, but I remember hearing about a country that on your tax return form, it actually lists what all your tax money got spent on. 10% got spent on military, 7% on the roads.
That's probably Denmark or Sweden.
Yeah.
One of those utopian type countries.
One of those countries small enough where you can actually do that.
Oh, yeah, because if you think about it, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, all the Nordic countries, they've been around sort of the longest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they've had time to evolve into this kind of thing, and making it so that, and everybody there is really laid back.
Oh yeah.
Really. So you never hear of there's a protest in Denmark killed 15 people. No, it's a protest in Denmark led to shouting.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, they're the extreme Canadians, extremely nice Canadians.
I feel like it's Sean. I kind of feel like it's a trade-off. Like when it comes to with what Josh was saying about what you and Josh were saying about Denmark. It's weird. It's like there are so many things in terms of a spectrum. There are so many things that America does well, and we've achieved an awful lot in a very very short time as a nation because of being a melting pot, right?
And because we are so young.
Yeah.
We're babies.
Yeah, we're less than 300 years actually, right?
And we somehow got in charge of the world.
Yeah.
Damn right, America.
Yeah, exactly. Then there's these other countries that are centuries old, right?
Yeah.
While I think there's things that we do great, part of me almost kind of wishes that I could go, I get it. You're tops on this thing and that thing. I would say this to America. You're tops on this thing and that thing. I'm like, but look at some of these other places and learn from what they're doing. Don't be so afraid to be socialized on some things.
To be globalized on something.
To be globalized on something.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some things that I think America could benefit from. I'm not saying give up your identity, that type of thing, but be willing to admit that, there's a reason why some things are working in Denmark, right? And not working over here.
No, they have I think it's where is it that they have all the pot? Is that
let's look at the Netherlands.
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, yeah, that's in the Netherlands, yeah.
Yeah.
So the Netherlands, the other pot is legal and all this, and they have the pot bars and all this. But you know what else they have to keep for other drug addicts? They have like heroin clinics where if somebody needs a fix of heroin or amphetamines or something, you can just walk in, say that, hey, I'm addicted to this drug and I can't afford it. I need my fix. They'll give you enough to get your fix, let you stay there until your high runs down or whatever, till you're calm again, and you know you're back to a functioning member of society, and you don't pay for it. That's what
they let you get high for free and then stay there until you're not high anymore.
Until you're stable again, because a lot of people will come in just like tweaking.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Going through all kinds of withdrawals.
So it's like a detox.
It's sort of a retox, I guess. It helps. You know, I think that if you keep going to them, they'll start trying to get you to quit.
Okay.
But you have to go there a certain amount of time.
Instead of attacking you for it, they try to reach through you by saying, we don't want to harshly stop you from this and cause you to die that way.
Yeah.
We want to sort of, like, we want to extend ourselves instead of judging you and pushing you away. That type of thing.
Is heroin legal over there?
I don't think that it is.
Okay.
So I think the illegal drug you're doing, they have those clinics for that.
Okay.
Because they're not going to, I don't think they make it so that you have to have your ID with you or whatever when you're there.
Yeah.
If you choose to give it to them, that's fine. But they won't arrest. They won't say, "Hey, we got this guy that's tweaking out on crack here. We need cops come take." No, they'll try to help you through it without getting some sort of police involvement going on or some sort of like persecution of because you were because you got addicted to a drug. That's a lot of they had that idea of like you couldn't help this. You can't help what you're going through now because the drug has an attachment to you and you have an attachment to it. So
and yes,
we're going to try to make it so that you can either stay on the habit and whatever happens to you, but we don't want you causing trouble and killing a hooker for her money or something. Or robbing someone.
Well, it's sort of like instead of degrading you and getting angry at you, and it takes, to do that is like beating a dead horse. Right?
It takes the catalyst for crime away. And that's another. Their crime rates are low there.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely a problem in the United States, whether it's drugs or mental health issues, where we're too quick to punish and incarcerate. Let me ask you guys, how do you feel about legalizing all drugs?
Ooh.
Okay. Drugs that.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
You first.
Marijuana is fine. Drugs that like people get addicted to, like amphetamines and meth and things like that. Because you can't. I'm sorry, but I'm not convinced by anyone who says you can get addicted to pot. You can't.
You get the munchies.
No, seriously. You get high and it feels good to have that high, but you can't. You don't need it.
Well, what do you mean by addicted? Because I've known people that smoke pot every night, and if they go a week, like every single night that they don't smoke, they're a cranky, crabby fucking asshole.
But that's the real them.
Well, isn't that an addiction though? Like they're cranky because they're not having that high.
It's how they cope. It's a coping mechanism. It's not an addiction. If they stop, they're still a functioning member of society. They're just an asshole.
Yeah.
So there's that. It's just their attitude thing. It's a mood booster, if you will. It's like taking melatonin if you want to chill. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's an herbal thing.
Yeah.
But so like, and people who say like, I can't get through my day without pot, try it. You can do it. It's cool.
Yeah. It's not going to debilitate you.
Yeah. You still function, but
you're not going to get the shakes.
On edge. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like. But and the whole gateway thing, pot's not a gateway drug.
No, for sure.
So the whole like if I have weird feelings about it, because it's like, yes, if the government has control over all illegal drugs, what will happen is in some instances in the most harsh conditions, yes, new drugs will be made that are harsher and more fucked up,
like crocodile.
But most sensible people will go, I really don't feel like dying today.
Yeah,
just for a super duper high.
Yeah. I really don't think it's. I really don't think it's smart to.
Yeah. So whenever the government, if they buy all drugs, like all illegal drugs.
Yeah, heroin, crack, coke, meth, everything.
Just anything that's a Title I kind of thing where it's.
Isn't marijuana the Title I?
Okay,
that's where it's unfairly.
Yeah, that's
categorized.
Yeah.
I think it's Schedule One. Yeah. Schedule 1, and then like cocaine or heroin is like a Schedule 2, and that makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, where it is the highest, because it goes, the lower the number, the higher on the tier they are. So.
But then you got like DMT, which is naturally made in your body. It's just enhanced with a plant like weed, and that's right up there too.
Have you ever heard of a drug called ayahuasca?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, oh, did you know there's actually? I don't know if you knew this or not, but did you know there's actually an ayahuasca church in America?
No.
Yeah, there is. Like they've got approved by the government the government overall, like Supreme Court wise, but also in the states which they live. That since it's part of like a religious thing, that they're allowed to do it. So like you could be someone who uses ayahuasca and goes to that church, and you can't get prosecuted for it.
As long as you can prove that you're a member of the church.
Well, it's basically like Native Americans. They can do whatever the fuck they want on their reservations because they're not actually from America. They have their own country inside of our country.
Yeah.
So.
Peyote. Yeah, it's if you're a member of the Sioux Indians, I think the Sioux in the southeast, southwest.
Yeah, like Navajo Sioux.
Navajo. Sorry, if you're a member of the Navajo Nation and you're caught doing peyote, you can just say, "Hey, I'm a member of the Navajo Nation and I'm going on a spirit quest."
Yeah, for sure.
You're off the hook. But anyways, so like, if the government's in charge of dealing out these drugs, for lack of a better term, then that I don't see as a problem per se. It may increase the crime rate, or it may make it so that drug cartels are doing all this research because since they're not cracking down on pot so much anymore, there's now like a heroin epidemic.
Well, it's because
right?
the cartel's not making money off pot anymore. Because so many states are going legal with it.
Yeah, so there's that problem right there rearing its ugly head. But if you were to just snap, boom, do it all at once, you might see a better. Okay, if Reagan did this during his war on drugs bullshit in the 80s,
mm-hmm.
instead of just throwing every pot smoker in jail, if we would have caught the drug cartel guy, the one that got the show about it.
Chapo?
Pablo Escobar.
Escobar, yeah. And who the other guy?
El Chapo?
Yeah, El Chapo. And they would have caught El Chapo in no time.
Yeah.
I mean, there wouldn't be some dramatic story about how
it also would have
a good father or whatever.
It also would have slowed. I'm not saying it would have stopped, but it would have slowed down the rise of of like some of the drug involvement from like the Aryan Nation, because that they got involved in that in prison, and then also I can't remember the name of that. There's a Mexican gang that is heavily involved in that.
Oh, they got a number for a name, right?
Yeah.
Like 21 or 22.
It's not like CSI. It was Malinoche, but it's not Malinoche. It's oh my god.
You said a Mexican gang?
Yeah, it's a Mexican gang.
There's a number for it.
Yeah, it is. It's like
Dos?
It's what is it?
Not
Not 18th Street Gang, not Familia, not Latin Kings. Oh my god. Seniola Corp?
Salvatrucha, something Salvatrucha.
So you guys don't think that basically if you make all drugs legal, you might have a big boom of instant deaths of people just going crazy, but then, like after that initial spike, it would kind of peak off and, kind of like, when we legalized weed, nothing really bad happened. People made a shitload of money. The DUI deaths went way down. People stopped drinking because all they're doing is smoking pot. Like if we make everything else legal, like might have an initial death and spike in deaths, but that's kind of Darwinism anyway. Like those people are probably going to die. Sucks, but.
And the people that didn't want the help, getting off of it. Yeah.
It's kind of funny you should ask that, because it's like I had a conversation with Josh about this. Like it's been a few months back, but the problem I have with the drug thing, like I kind of agree with like what you guys are saying. Like it'll there'll be some initial spike in some things, right? But then initially then like later on it'll be a good thing. I am of the opinion that even though we lost our mom to some drug use and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have this opinion that like the more prohibitive that you make something, the more there's a demand for it.
Yeah.
So if you take away that prohibition for it and you make it easily attainable, then there's going to be some idiots like you said that are going to try to do other things to get other stuff onto there.
Yeah.
But if
build a better mousetrap.
Yeah, but if you can go down to the store and buy, I'm just giving an example. If you can go down to the store and buy like your favorite pack of marijuana, then why are you going to go to a dealer?
Exactly. Yeah.
If it's at a fair price instead of a slightly inferior price, because again, the game we're talking about was MS-13.
Yeah, Mara Salvatrucha.
But that's the Mexican game. So the whole thing of like if the government gets a hold of it and they're in charge of dealing it out and meeting it out, whatever, they would make it more affordable for the people who are addicted to the drug to sort of pull them away from their dealers and pull them away from the drug cartels.
Because they're getting money anyways. The government's getting money anyways.
Now you're going to have those mid-level dealers start little gang wars and stuff in their little tiny local gangs, which will sort of trickle up to the bigger gangs, and that'll cause a sort of a war. In that respect, yes. And like you said, the initial deaths would spike. But, yeah, it would sort of
even out eventually.
It would even out in the wash kind of thing. People would die, but they would all be bad people anyway.
And if you made it all legal, and then you have these dispensaries where you can buy your heroin or your crack or your weed or whatever, that's also getting taxed. So we're taxing religion and we're taxing drugs because they're both legal. You can do them both if you want to. If you don't do them. But if you are, you're paying taxes, and that's going towards our gazillion-dollar debt.
Yeah. And if if your little tiny church wants a nice road instead of a dirt road to get up to it, your churches will supply that basically.
Yeah,
so because
exactly.
they'd be able to request the local government say, hey, can you guys pour a street to our church? That kind of thing. Instead of going, well, we'd like to have a street going to our church, but since I inherited that church from my granddaddy back in 1865, there's always been just a regular old trail walking up to her.
Yeah, you could have that while. Instead of it not happening and you seeing Joel Osteen go, oh well, which Lamborghini am I taking out this weekend?
Yeah,
that's just I see it's really not fair. It's
well, for being the leader of a big church, his humility is at an all-time low. Yeah, he's not a humble person by any stretch of the imagination. You know what? You know why he's humble? Because he's comfortable. Yeah, because he's got money he can afford to be. So. Anyway, sorry.
I don't know. I think the taxing does need to change, but part of me thinks it's got to be the libertarian in me. He's worth all this money. He has all these Lamborghinis, but that's because he did something to get it. I think he did. I don't know if he inherited all this shit like Trump did or whatever, but all these people that make this much did something to get that. So should they be punished for getting more?
Well, okay. So what they earned. I mean, what do you consider earning something? That's where that falls to. It's like if you.
Well, did the Kardashians earn their money?
No, they sit back and their bank rolls it over in investments.
That's earning it, right? The Wall Street guys are buying stock. I don't understand all that shit, but they pick a fucking company, and next thing you know, they got $1 million.
The only reason the Kardashians even had anything is because of their dead father.
Because their dead father.
And the sex tape.
A player. Well, that was
RJ or Ray J. Yeah, Ray J.
But I mean, okay. I have a feeling the Kardashians. I have a thing against the Kardashians because they took away my favorite channel by having that stupid show.
What, E?
Because MTV stopped showing music when they started that reality bullshit. Anyway, but so it's like if you earn it, yes, if you work hard and you earn it, you've literally put your blood, sweat, and tears into a thing. That to me is earning it because that's the way I've earned my money for as long as I've been alive.
Yeah, me too.
So I can understand that, but if you were just lucky enough to be born into it, that's not earning money. That's just being smart with how you spend it.
Yeah,
and making good investments. That's being able to actually make an investment. I mean, do you own stocks? I don't own any stocks.
No, I don't.
Any bonds? Any stocks?
I don't. I mean,
it's like wanted to. You always hear about how the stock market is good to those who invest well, and it's like yes, but there's such a high and risky buy-in.
Well, it's fucked up here. I think I do own stock because my 401k depends on the stock market.
But see again, though, that was set up by the company you work for.
Yeah.
To do just that, so that it would sort of give the 401k thing the idea was to give the blue collar workers and things like that a sort of a foot into that kind of world.
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, if not, I mean, how would
I thought it was so the company could make more money and they could give me a little bit of it. I had no idea.
It's profit sharing.
Yeah. Actually, it's kind of weird. With Josh. The money that he has, I have my money for retirement is put into. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
IRA.
IAA crap.
No.
Roth?
It's IU pension, not IU pension, like Indiana
pension. Okay.
Oh, what's this called? The IU Retired Workers Association or something like that.
Yeah, but
it's some or Indiana.
It's via the state basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. However, like
the state has its own fund for people who work as a state employee at the end of their job.
Yeah. Now, however, though, like a lot of the new hires that they have out here, like you and some of these other people, they have different options now for like it takes
I'm grandfathered in because I worked at the university before.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to tell Sean is that like for example, when I got hired in, I got they've shifted things out at IU to where they're using temp agencies to get the newer employees in, right?
Yeah, they'll hire them with the temp agency, and then a few months later they'll say, okay, well, you've been working with us long enough. We'd like to keep you. Here's your appointment. Yeah.
I was lucky enough to not have to go through all that craziness, and I got in before, right?
Literally right before.
And however, though, the thing is like it takes me 10 years to become vested where I'm at, right?
Okay.
Like with you, that's what I forgot to tell you too, Josh. Like with you, it would only with the way they've got things set up for the retirement for like the union hires, it's only going to take you guys like 3 or because well I know jerk because like they invest your money differently than they invested ours.
Well they invested it
perf
perf Public Employees Retirement Fund.
Like I can't grab mine right away. Like you can grab yours, there'll be a penalty, but it's not steep. You can grab yours. I can't. Like I absolutely can't. If I grab any part of mine, poof, out from underneath me. It's I want to strangle it sometimes. But I mean I'm glad for what I have though, don't get me wrong.
So yeah, I mean, if they
yeah, I worked at Delphi here in Milwaukee, which for people that don't know, they made most of the circuit boards and shit for GM, and they closed down shit like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. No, it was before that because before I met Carrie, so like 10 years ago, they closed their big plant here in Oak Creek. Like my mom retired from there, and I transferred down to Kokomo, Indiana, where the headquarters is for a year, but basically, yeah, my mom worked there for 25, 26 years, part of the UAW, the automotive union. And
automotive workers,
yeah. They had some of the legacy people still working there, making their, I don't know, 30 some bucks an hour. And they brought in all new people, basically all the kids of the employees to work there to make 15, 16 bucks an hour, which when you're a 20 something year old kid, back then it was good money. And it was, like they're paying all these legacy people. Like my mom got paid to sit home, her normal wage, to sit home and do nothing, and she kept collecting her insurance and kept collecting everything, her benefits, until basically it all went under. And,
even time off.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like this company's barely staying afloat, and the union is like just throwing money everywhere, and eventually it's like poof, all gone. Now we have a Myers there and a Woodman's and fucking Jimmy John's and everything's just completely gone.
Our union at
that's why RCA left.
I was gonna say like our union down here, like IU wise, is useless.
Well, no, they're bloodthirsty when they want to be bloodthirsty. Otherwise, they just kind of stand around and watch things happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, RCA used to be here in town. That's where our granddad
and
on
then
our
they
mom's
went
side
to
worked
Mexico
for a long time. And when they got bought by Thomson Consumer Electronics or changed their name or whatever it was, they moved to Mexico. And a big reason was that because the union was getting their workers, even the retired workers, such good money.
Yeah.
It was draining the company.
Yeah, it got way too greedy for its own good, in my opinion.
Yeah. Here's a little sort of odd fact along the lines of what we're talking about. Like only just recently, they do.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Even just recently, out where we work, in terms of like Big Ten schools, like building service wise, custodian wise, previously we were like at the very bottom of the Big Ten in what they paid their workers and everything. So it was really sort of like, I'm not gonna say deplorable, but it wasn't really too impressive, every time they tried tooting their horn, right? Well,
when your local community college's janitors get paid like twice the amount that you get paid, that's a little disconcerting.
Well,
yeah, for sure.
And so now to cover his butt, the president of our university has been like, okay, everyone that gets hired in, whether you're temp or not, you eventually get appointed. It was by 2018, by 2020, he wants all of us to make $15 an hour. And the thing that kind of annoys me is that like before that, he had been like, I've been there for 6 years. He has been dragging his feet forever. And a lot of us are like, okay, whenever there's someone just a state away, like Illinois, and I understand the whole cost of living thing. I get that, right? But when there's someone a state away from us that's making almost twice, maybe even 3 times as much to do the same things that we're doing.
Yeah, the same job.
Yeah, you're going to have people complaining, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And the fact that since the university is the lifeblood of this town, since they sort of like they run things whenever the students are in town, literally our city's population drops by almost 2/3.
Yeah,
it drops by quite a bit whenever the students are gone for the summertime.
You can actually,
you can get around town pretty quick in the summertime. But no, it's like since they have such a big stake in the town, and since our big industry that made us a town was at one time limestone.
Yeah,
which now it fell to Bedford. Bedford is sort of dying too because their limestone's drying up. Our big claim to fame was like, a lot of limestone that went to the Empire State Building was mined right here in Indiana, yada yada yada, and right here in Bloomington. Anyway, So you got rocks out of our ground and put it in your ground. So you put since they have such a big stake, people like rely on the university that way. So the university is really fucking rich.
Yeah,
like absolutely like. If you look at the tuition fees, they've just steadily gone up over the last couple decades, just because they can. I don't want to come to IU because they have a really good business school.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same up there. Like
really shitty football team.
What's the actual town that you guys are in? I'm sorry.
Well, we live in Mount Pleasant. It's like 15 minutes south of Milwaukee. Like I used to University of Milwaukee, the UWM is our big school besides Madison, which is our capital.
Okay, cool.
But yeah. I delivered there multiple times. GJ actually went to school there for a while. Carrie graduated from University of Milwaukee.
Awesome. All right, the reason I'm asking that is because, like, down here, every once in a while, I don't know if it's the same thing up there, but, like, down here, like what you said about making the money, Josh, right? Mm-hmm. They make there's money that they get that's earmarked for certain things, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's money outside of that that's just being donated to them, being given to them, grants and willed, right? Yeah. And we're talking like huge amounts of money, being given to the university. Every once in a while, you can smell the bullshit in the air because there will be a article in the newspaper where someone's talking about how the university's having trouble with money. It's like, no, they're not having trouble with money. They have issues with appropriating the money the right way. But they don't have trouble with money. It's not like they're hemorrhaging anything.
Yeah,
especially whenever you can't give your employees like a raise.
But you can pay your football coaches tens of millions of dollars a year
and put up tons of buildings in a year. So
you're not in contract with the coaches you fired to keep paying them those tens of millions of dollars a year.
See, right now where we live, Bloomington wise, we're kind of having this issue where a lot of the people that live here, I mean townies if you want to call them that. We don't have a problem that the university is here. It's great because it actually does help provide money.
And right now it pays my bills, so I'm not going to say a bad thing.
Oh, yeah. But the flip side to that is rent is egregiously high.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting to.
Every time you turn around.
Since there's such a high stake in this town, and since they make tons and tons of money, you'd think that the major metropolitan area in Indiana, which would be Indianapolis or Fort Wayne or one of those big cities, you think that they would be the higher cost of living place. Bloomington has the highest cost of living in Indiana.
In the whole state.
Wow.
In the entire state. So
is Bloomington like in the southern part of the state?
It's 50 miles southwestish of Indianapolis.
Yeah, okay. And the ironic thing is, like, anytime something new is built, like, and this is what builds the sort of, like, there's goodwill and badwill. This is what builds up the sort of anger about it. Is everything that's built in this town basically usually gets geared towards students. Like,
yeah, and it's always outside agents, like people from different development companies come in and they say, we want to buy this up. Like, they had a bunch of old quarry land that they had filled in, and they made sure that it sat enough so that sinkholes wouldn't happen and stuff. So this used to be this Rogers quarry, whereas this big hole in the middle of the ground, right through the middle of town. One side is one main street, and the other side of it is another main street, and there's this big hole. Now it's been filled in, and there are all these it looks. Have you ever seen Cape Cod? You know how they have all those nice houses lined up by the bay?
Yeah.
Or San Francisco where they have those
gentrified.
Houses. Or they're just just a one continuous building, but they all look like separate houses because they're different color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look like that, and it's like this. First of all, looks very out of place for the area it's in.
Yeah.
2, how much do you think that you pay for rent per month there? Yeah. No, you don't pay for the entire apartment. You pay per bedroom upwards of $700 a month for a bedroom.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and they'll get away with doing that. Part of the problem is not to go way off topic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
But part of the problem is the issue that we're facing in town nowadays, and some people end up taking it like they think that people are just randomly finding reasons to get angry at some of the students. It's that like these people who come here, and not all of them, like, but these people who come here,
These people, remember the
these okay, all right.
Oh, those
Yes,
people. Okay.
No, not. It's
I
not.
got it.
Yeah. The students I know.
the students that come here.
Yeah, the students that come here. That some of them only live like here half of the year, right?
Mhm.
They take a lot of stuff gets catered to them, and like a lot of stuff in town that should be, you should also take care of your town. A lot of that stuff kind of gets ignored. So you've got these people that are working to provide a town that these people come to get an education in, and they can't afford to live in the same place that they're working their butt off to provide for those kids. You know what I'm saying?
Over half of the staff at IU, at least, I'd got to say at least half.
Yeah.
All of them, they commute from either Spencer, which is a town about 15 miles or so outside of our town, and then Bedford, which is like a half an hour drive from here, or what's the place? Martinsville.
Yeah,
Martinsville, which is halfway between us and Indianapolis.
There's a few that do Indianapolis. A few.
And there are a few that live in Indianapolis and commute down here just because the money's good at the university, because they're in a high enough position that they can afford to do that, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of the people that work there don't live there.
So there's just like friction between like townies and students, basically.
So
right?
It sounds basically like Cancun. Cancun has like a giant tourist population, and everything in that town is dedicated towards the tourists. And meanwhile, all the staff and all the workers, they live on the outskirts of town in shitty little dilapidated villages.
Oh yeah.
So
like last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to that. With the whole Jose and Jose. I enjoyed that.
I didn't catch that episode. Sorry.
That's okay.
I have a coworker that constantly bitches about everything. So
yeah,
I could listen to it at work.
I was listening to that while I was working, and I cackled out loud, and I had to like stop and explain to my friends. I was like, "It's these people we've befriended online." I'm like, they're just bringing up a very good point, and it was funny. It's like,
but yeah, I mean, it's so if your cost of living is super high, and then you get like there are a couple of bigger churches in our town.
Yeah,
that sort of just swing it back around here. That do sort of provide a good service, like First United Methodist with their Shalom House, or Shalom, what is it?
The Shalom Center.
Shalom Center, where they help homeless people and people.
There's
who
some
are
very
poor.
socially minded churches.
Because the government in our town is, since even though we're a red state, our government is very centered but leftist.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Bloomington is also, before you say this, Rebecca, Bloomington is also, that's another thing too, Sean, a little bit of information what we can kind of give you too is Bloomington, outside of these issues that we're facing, we're very homeless friendly.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing here.
Yeah.
So places like the Shalom Center help a lot of homeless people find housing, and we have an area in town that's called the Hill where a lot of it's all literally the entire area, which is like 4 square blocks, is all just apartments for people who can't pay a full month's rent because they're poor enough to not be able to, or disabled, or that kind of thing.
Any number of reasons.
Yeah. The government has deemed them able to be on the government's paycheck for paying for a house, which is good if you're working toward getting out of that. But then there are certain people
that abuse it.
Abuse it. Yeah. So that's in any government funded thing.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
They have all this help for homeless people, but there have been judges in town where like we get shipped. Like we've become sort of like Skid Row, or where is it in Colorado they send people? Boulder or something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and because there's a ton of homeless people in Boulder that got shipped there from California.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we get shipped them from Indiana. The judges say, here's a bus ticket. You go to Bloomington. They'll help you out there. Then they'll.
Oh yeah, we get a lot of people from Gary and stuff.
From Indianapolis. No, Gary wants to go to the Hill.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so they'll like. And we don't have like a real gang problem in our town.
No.
So anyways, they'll get shipped from Indianapolis to Bloomington, and then the Bloomington judges, when they've had enough of the like real shitty homeless people who don't want the help and they don't care about being homeless and they just want to drink and drug up and shit like that, they'll send them to Boulder.
Oh really?
Yeah, we will mass ship homeless people to Boulder because it looks bad for the town.
Yeah.
It looks bad because they don't want some student becoming the next Jill Behrman or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is a lady that got killed and disappeared,
and
didn't find her body until decades later, even though they were looking for somebody else.
Yeah, I actually knew her bryer.
Who's the other one that disappeared?
There was
someone
Jill Behrman, and then there was why don't you go ahead and check it while we're talking?
That's okay. She'll never be found anyway.
Yeah, well, she was
no, for real, they never get found because we have There's a we're in Jill Spears.
No,
that's Jill Berman.
No, there's
Jill
so,
Spears.
go ahead,
Casey Spears.
Casey, yeah, I think so.
I don't know. Anyways, there we have an area like when somebody goes missing. We're in Monroe County, and then there's a county next to us called Greene County, and Greene County is like the living embodiment of the movie. What's that movie with you got a pretty mouth? Deliverance.
Oh, yeah, Deliverance.
It's like the living embodiment of Deliverance. Like there are nothing toothless rednecks living out there and beat up trailers
Nice.
in the middle of fields that you don't want to get lost in.
Yeah.
We also have coyotes too. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we got coyotes here too.
Yeah, so it's like there's like if you're considered missing, you're done. You're never going to be found.
Yeah.
Unless some psychopath has been is trying to become the next great serial killer, and he's got you in his basement. And he's like fucking you to death or something.
Right. Do you guys have a big meth problem down there?
Yeah, Casey Spears.
Pardon?
Do you guys have a meth problem down by Bloomington?
Yes. Bloomington has sort of become one of the meth capitals because Greene County, they flushed all the dickweeds out of Greene County, and they're sort of infecting us, basically.
They had a real problem at the beginning of the school year because these parents that were bringing their kids for like visits and stuff, some of these kids would be tripping over people that have started to overdose. They had 30 overdoses in 2 weeks.
That was the heroin.
Yeah. Oh, heroin. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's the
heroin. Yeah.
Meth is taken a back seat to heroin here in town.
Well, it's kind of weird though because you and I were talking about this a few months ago. There's the problem that a lot of people complained too when I-69 they were working on the I-69 highway here.
The big interstate.
Yeah, there's a lot of people are like, well, there's a lot sort of like a pipeline of drugs that come from Gary and those places down to here via that. And I don't think it's necessarily all that.
Yeah,
but
I think it'd be more Fort Wayne than there because Fort Wayne goes directly to I-69.
Yeah, it's but we're definitely starting to sort of deal with those things. Yeah, it's a weird place to live.
Yeah, when I went kayaking with my brother TJ when he lived down in Kokomo still, and I forget what river was on. It was one of the bigger rivers in Indiana, but yeah, you kayak far enough, you can see oh yeah, that's where there's a little meth shack right there. Yep.
Yeah.
They're making meth right over there on the side of the river.
What was it, 98 when we moved into the trailer?
Yeah. We actually moved into one. Yeah.
Yeah, we moved into a trailer. This old lady she was letting her son live there, and he got arrested and taken away. So she's like, well, this place is it and empty if you guys want to rent it.
This is pretty much the low point in our life.
Yeah. They had a high school family, all the weird shit going on with family. And so we moved into this 3-bedroom trailer.
That used to be a meth trailer.
When we first walked in, there was this weird smell in the air, and there was a pan sitting on the stove that had some substance in it. And at the time we were smart enough and old enough to figure out there was probably drugs being made here, and then we started hearing about what meth was. And so we probably lived in a former meth lab.
Yeah,
and it just and it always had this.
Our bedroom was suspicious in that trailer too. Like just some of the smells from there. And
the very back bedroom.
Yeah,
it was because that's where he would
Yeah. It was. It's weird. I don't know. Bloomington is very.
It's a melting pot.
Well, I'll put it to you this way.
It's turned into let's bitch about our hometown.
No, well, it has. But
let's tag the church. Fuck Bloomington.
I will tell you this right now. It's having. I guess a lot of places do. I guess the easiest way I can say it is it's kind of having identity issues. Bloomington is a big town trying to become a small city.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, I think Bloomington has, as a whole, the Bloomington has aspirations to become a metropolitan area. Yeah. Because our buildings literally keep getting higher.
But there's so many people digging their heels in it. And I'm not saying that I'm not one of those, but, the only things I'm digging in is just, the disparity between, it's nice and fine that people want to get an education. I'm never going to talk down on that, but, you can't shit on the people that live there either. Because they're the reason why those other people can come to there.
We get all these New Jersey jerk-offs that come here. They own the town because...
Or their parents can come and drop. That's another thing that's outrageous to see is that these parents can come and drop a year's. Some of these really wealthy parents, they can come and drop a year's worth of rent off in these apartments things, and so that's why things like that are part of the reasons why normal people can't get apartments or houses in this town.
Because they're still being leased or subleased because they've already paid the year's lease and they won't break the lease even though they're getting the money.
Yeah, during the one visit, not during over visits. These parents will come and drop all that money, boom, all at once.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. It's kind of bad.
It is kind of silly though that you can't get a decent apartment because somebody's already bought up the cheap apartments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah.
Yeah. Back to religion.
There's no yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We tackled the big issues. No, there's no easy way to do it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. It's kind of like just the state of any kind of politics that you talk about, whether it's, I don't know, name it, whatever. There's going to be 400 different opposing views on every single thing, and I'm not smart enough to figure any of them out.
Oh yeah. I mean, neither are we.
But it's again, it's if you. I think I really do though think that the pros outweigh the cons.
Yeah.
If it were to be implemented correctly and made so that it's not. So that it doesn't devastate certain religions, and so that it doesn't devastate certain states, and it just makes it so that it's an even keeled, fair shake on it, like other countries have been implementing for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So we just need to sort of put on our big boy pants and say, yes, we do respect religions. We do understand that your belief system is different than others' belief systems, but you're able to operate and perform your services in our area. Could you at least consider it a donation to your local government or something? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just sort of do it that way, and just not let it be an overreach. Just let it be a, hey, since you have 14 acres, and there are all these homeless people that need money to get a house, perhaps you could donate some money from your annual picnic or something like that.
Yeah. Well, like I know what you're saying. You want it to kind of be, on equal footing. You want everyone to kind of give their fair share.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be hard.
Maybe instead of the federal government getting involved, it could be left to just the local government.
State.
Yeah.
Because that's how we handle our. What is this? The state controls the most of the drug laws and stuff. So
Yeah.
Because that's why every state gets to pick whether or not they want to legalize marijuana.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Well, like with what we were saying about religion and stuff, I guess we kind of come full circle after we quit bitching about our towns.
I haven't heard Sean say a bad thing about his city.
I got plenty.
Oh, you're fine. I hope we didn't bore you to death about the Bloomington stuff.
No, it was really interesting.
He's wondering where not to go for his summer vacation.
Yeah, I got no reason to ever go to Indiana again now that TJ's living back up here. So.
Well, that's understandable. Like most of us that are here don't want to be here anyways. That's what Indiana's famous for.
Especially Gary. Fuck Gary, Indiana.
What the fuck is a Hoosier anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. I will say this, religion-wise, that's one thing at the beginning when we were asking about our backgrounds, that's one thing that I think that agnostics, like you said, you consider yourself agnostic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, as do I, and then Josh considers himself atheist. I think that's one kind of unfair knock that people who are not, don't consider themselves directly religious get, is that some people are like, oh, well, then that means you don't like religion. I'm like, no, it's not so much that for me. It's just if it works for you, man, I am totally behind it. If that's what brings you happiness and solace, who am I to tell you what to believe, right? But it's sort of just don't cast your stuff down on me, Like I don't want any person, anybody, any entity, anything to suffer, unneedingly, It's not like I would. It's not like I don't think any of us any three of us, wants anyone to suffer, religious or not,
Yeah.
So it cracks me up when some people try to use that as an argument when you even talk about this subject too, They're like, oh, well, you've got a thing against religion. Oh no, I think religion, for as much as it is a damaging thing, for as much as it has been manipulated, and for as much as it's been used as a wrong thing too, I also think there's been a great many works and a great many social things done due to religion.
Yeah,
I think religion is wonderful used in the right way, wonderful when it's a healing sort of type of thing.
Well, religions are starting to be a peaceful thing.
Yeah,
there hasn't been a real religion that has been started, a real legitimate religion, not some farcical Scientology bullshit business crap that that has said we want to destroy everything. No.
Don't speak too lightly about them.
Those are cults, and they don't have any place in this.
Josh, don't speak too lightly about the Scientology thing. We'll get Miss Cabbage after us. He'll send his lawyers.
But no, it's so that yes, if you have a religion and you are using it for the purposes of being peaceful and to educate others on how not indoctrinate, educate
Yeah.
Not force people to become one of you.
Yeah.
Let them come to it on their own.
Yeah.
You know, if that's fine. That's why I'm not like a Dawkins hardcore anti, religion should be abolished kind of thing, because
not all religion is bad.
This is going to sound very pompous of me, but a lot of people need crutches. And
yeah, for sure.
they need, religion is a big crutch. That's another reason that's why I don't believe, because I think of religion as being a crutch, and I think of myself as having a pretty strong mind.
Yeah.
So I don't need that crutch.
But in fairness, I will say this though too. It's not me just saying this because you're my brother.
Man, I'm an asshole.
But no. The thing is, it's like, but at least you're open-minded enough to admit that about yourself, right? You're willing to say, listen, it's not my cup of tea. This is how I think of it. Yeah. But if it works for you, I'm not going to tell you don't believe it. I mean, if you're a Pastafarian or if you're a Dudist, or whatever, whatever makes you happy, man. Like 5 ways to Sunday, do what you want to do.
I'm a member of the Church of the Subgenius.
Yeah, just don't be oppressive with people. And I think that even kind of lends itself to what we were saying subject-wise. It's like this whole taxing thing, it doesn't have to be an oppressive thing. It just, there needs to be, something that needs to be approached at some level, because
there must be balance in the force.
Yeah, there needs to be a conversation about it, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
There has to be something started to get a ball rolling, to find a solution to, evangelical mega churches versus small town churches that are actually really trying to help their communities.
Yeah. All three of us lean into the microphone and be like, "Are you listening, Congress?" Really good. Yeah, we just had a conversation. What about you? That type of thing.
Yeah, that's why I love doing this podcast. That's why I started this podcast out for basically this episode. Like, I'm finally getting guests in, to learn about new shit. Like, I never knew why churches weren't taxed. I didn't know why you should or why you shouldn't tax it. And then you guys were like, oh yeah, I'm a fan of taxing churches. So I looked into it and I learned new shit. And I'm really happy.
Because the whole reason we started the podcast was the whole, the what if is sort of a stepping stone. Like we want to help people learn more about the world around them instead of just existing, and
then also learn ourselves too,
and help us learn more about it too. Because what was it back in the early 2000s when the internet was still in its infancy? I used to read websites full of random facts and stuff, and I could quote you any weird random fact, but do I know that? Do I really know that?
Yeah.
Look at it helps you get a deeper knowledge of what's going on.
It's kind of weird about like what you learn when you do podcasting too, because I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was an episode back. It was like when we were trying to find. We discussed whether babies could exist in space, right? Like,
be born in space.
Yeah, we were all like rip roaring, ready to get into it. We had all this stuff, and when we got on there, we were like, we found out the answer is no. We still went through it in the episode, but we were like, nope.
Shortest podcast ever.
Not current. Yeah. So it was a lot of filler,
but it was still fun though. It was still fun. Yeah,
it's fun to speculate and imagine and learn new shit.
Well, yeah. So now, I mean, I never thought I would have this in my arsenal, but now someone asks me that, I'll be like, hey, about that.
Some pros and some cons, and I've already talked about this for, an hour and a half now?
Yeah.
With other people, yeah. So,
for sure.
So, by the way, you can't be born in space.
Yeah.
That type of thing. It's definitely awesome. It's definitely awesome. And we're kind of glad that, you guys got to... We got to be one of you guests with you guys. You guys got to be kind of like our inaugural guests,
Yeah, for sure. I know we had a blast. I wish TJ and Carrie didn't have to share mics when we did your guys', and I wish they were here to discuss this. But if we would have had 2 more people here, this would probably be like a 5-hour podcast, and that's long even for like Joe Rogan. So.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm just saying this in general, but like we can put some time in between it again, but like I'm always open to us doing another podcast if you want to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like we don't have to do it right away because I know you guys have your stuff going on and stuff, but it's nice to talk to people who actually want to think about things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we should do this again can't talk. World's best talker. But yeah, we should do this again in a few months, like every so often, just we
could be your like recurring guesties.
Yeah.
But, for sure.
Yeah. We're still trying to get our sort of feet off the ground in this thing, and we do ours every 2 weeks. You guys do yours every week or 2 weeks?
We did ours every week, and then summer hit, and we couldn't get any guests, so it was just me, TJ, and Carrie. So we moved to every 2 weeks. But now, last Friday we had 4 guests on. Last night we had 4 guests on. Tonight we're doing it with you guys. I guess some other guests lined up. It's like now that the cold weather's coming in, like people are like, oh, no more beach, no more festivals to go to. I guess I'll go do the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to promote yourselves where to find you on Instagram and Twitter and your
Well, we
webpage.
don't have an Instagram per se yet, but we do have our
Instagram sucks anyway. Don't bother.
Yeah,
I get like
actually,
2 likes for
funny
each
you mention
fucking
that.
picture.
Instagram's good for pictures and videos.
Like
yeah.
my personal Instagram. Like Josh, you haven't had too many issues with yours, right?
No.
But like I've had mine hacked 5 different times.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
And they're awesome.
And you can ask him. I'm safe about what I do, so it's not like I'm being careless.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, okay, you know what? No Instagram for me, right?
So you guys are on Twitter though and Facebook.
Yeah. I'm getting the information up right now. We actually, it's actually kind of funny you should ask for that because for the first 10 episodes,
It's still a problem for us.
for the first 10 episodes, like we just never cared to like write it down.
Yeah.
So we'd at the end of the thing we'd be like, we are on. Hold on, give me a second. We click it.
Yeah, Twitter, we're at podcast_whatif. Facebook, we're at podcast.whatif. And email, if anybody wants to talk to us via email, podcast.whatif@gmail.com.
And your webpage.
It's whatif-podcast.com.
Awesome. And you can find us at Facebook and Instagram at Make Me a Fan Podcast and Twitter, Make Me a Fan, or www.makemeafanpodcast.com. Thank you guys so much. I had a blast doing this. I look forward to the next time.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys.
Before you go, I was going to tell you, I'm sorry.
No,
Not trying to-
No, go ahead, man.
No, it was actually a good thing. I was happy about the expo.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a expo in our town. It's the Bloomington Toy and Comic Expo.
Oh.
You've got they're talking about having slots open for podcasters and stuff. So
And we're actually being considered. I talked to them.
oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
so since we're a local podcast, we're being considered to be like I guess have booth space there or something like that.
shit.
Yeah, our next expo next year. So that's good.
Yeah, I was just excited about that. I'm sorry. I know you were trying to get off.
No, that's awesome, guys. If you get that, let me know. If you don't mind, I'll mail you a stack of stickers. Put them on your little desk.
Yes, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's
yeah.
awesome, man. I really hope you guys get that. I was just talking. Me and Carrie went to a pet festival today with the dogs, and I was like, we should get a fucking booth at a pet festival or a horror convention or a Comic-Con.
Yeah. No, it's because it gets eyeballs to it. Yeah, you know, people see it. Like I think we're gonna work on taking and printing out some cards we're thinking about doing.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was just doing flyers for the Random University because
one thing I was gonna give you a suggestion on that I thought of recently, just since we help each other out, is go ahead and if you go online, look into maybe printing off like a banner. So if you do go to those things, you'll have something to put out there, and that also kind of gets some eyes on it too.
Yeah, for sure.
Okie dokie. All right, well, you take care, Sean.
All right, cool. Take it easy, guys. We'll talk to you again.
All right, take care, man.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.
What the fuck?
Mental vacation.
Makes me seem like a horrible individual.
You are.
Yeah.
Have anal sex with a person who, prior to the deed, has swallowed a piece of raw bacon.
Like fucking a chicken.
Well, make me a fan of your crime.
They still had places to go. You know, there were still bars.
Make me a fan, Comcast.